In the aftermath of Charlie Kirk's unaliving just 2 days ago, the air has been thick with vicious anger. I've seen threats of retaliation, words sharpened into weapons, rage spilling over in every direction. And in moments like this, I feel like I have to pause and say a few things, because what we're witnessing right now, it isn't just grief from that side, and it isn't just politics. Trump and this regime have done exactly what they meant to do. They've taken a country that was already hurting and split it right down the middle. And people will argue, oh no, this is just happening. It's division from the bottom. No, look up. This is what they've always wanted, and I've said that before. I saw a TikTok yesterday, a woman openly talking about wanting to unalive the left. Not politicians, not faceless institutions, but people. Later, she tried to clean it up, said she meant people in positions of power. But that's not what came out of her mouth. And when you're putting that kind of message into the world, you better be damn clear. Because words spread faster than fire, and once they're out, you can't call the flames back. And here's the thing, it's working. We have one side that's locked in a cult mindset, convinced their leader does no wrong. But on the other side, us, angry, exhausted, burned out from fighting every single day, we're not innocent either. Sometimes we've let our fury run ahead of us. We've said things we shouldn't. We've been so unforgiving toward the right that even people who might be open to listening get written off as irredeemable. And I get it, when you've been bullied, when you've been scapegoated, when your very existence has been legislated against, patience doesn't come easy. Sometimes anger feels like the only shield you've got left. But the danger is if every conservative neighbor becomes an enemy, if every family member who voted red is treated as beyond saving, then we're not just divided. We've closed the door on even the possibility of a middle ground. Now, I know some people will probably already type it in the comments. I know I'm going to get some pushback and say, they don't deserve forgiveness. And maybe on some days I'd even agree. And let me be clear, too. I'm not talking about the racists, the bigots, the xenophobes, the misogynists who crawled out of the woodwork under Trump. For them, there is no middle ground. There's no debate. Inhumanity isn't up for negotiation. And frankly, those are exactly the kind of people Trump wants in his corner. Let them go. Let them go. What I'm talking about here is everyone else, the ordinary people caught up in the cult, the neighbors we've written off entirely. And I'll be honest with you, I wrestle with this myself because I've seen it. There are days I have no forgiveness left. None. Because I'm tired of being bullied. I'm tired of watching friends, family, whole communities carry scars from words and policies designed to dehumanize them. And I won't be bullied into silence. And that's the tragedy nobody wants to admit. The cult thrives on worship, yes, but it also thrives on our hatred, because the more we see them as monsters, the less we see the people in power pulling the strings. And meanwhile, Trump's regime sits back smirking while Americans tear each other apart at Thanksgiving tables and school board meetings and parking lots outside grocery stores. And, here's the thing. We can't even get the things done that we all agree on. Deep down, we know we agree in everyday life, in the hallway at work, in line at the coffee shop, at company picnics. None of us want to worry about our kids being unalived in school. We want to be able to afford groceries. We want to be able to pay rent. We want to live healthy, decent lives. These are things we agree on, every single one of us, but we can't even reach for those basics because we've been divided so completely that agreement itself feels dangerous. And that's the point. That's the design. Keep us fighting over identity and outrage so they can do whatever they want at the top, unchecked, while we're too busy tearing each other apart to notice. But that's exactly why I keep coming back to this point. Look to the top. Because we didn't get here overnight. This didn't just rise up from the ground on its own. Trump, and let's not sugarcoat it, the orange buffoon, the skin suit of grievance he wears, he poured gasoline on every existing fault line and then laughed while it burned. Yes, Democrats and Republicans have always been at odds, but even the people who hate each other today used to admit the parties were more alike than different. That's the scale of what's changed. This isn't just politics as usual. This is deliberate division, a wedge so deep it makes us forget we ever had common ground at all. We've gone from I disagree with you to I wish you didn't exist, and that cuts both ways. That's the kind of poison that doesn't just divide a country, it hollows it out, from the inside. Trump didn't fail at uniting the country. He succeeded at breaking it. That was the plan. A fractured nation is easier to control. A divided people can't hold the powerful accountable, right? So when are we going to see it? When are we going to recognize that this isn't about left versus right? It's about top versus bottom, about power versus people, about those who benefit from chaos and those who suffer because of it. Because if we keep fighting each other, we're doing exactly what they want. And history tells us empires don't collapse because of outside enemies. They collapse when the rot inside finally takes over. Y'all have a good day.